We'll talk about the chakras, and when we're done with that, we'll actually cook. And today we will be making colorful lentil soup, as well as greens, which we like to call goddess greens. Chakras are these little energy centers that are in your body. If I were to give you an analogy, think about a stream that's flowing, and then it kind of meets in this little round little puddle, so to say. And then it trickles down slowly, and then there's another one, and there's another one, and it goes on. Think of your energy centers as something similar. Now, when these puddles gather, if you move the rocks or you move the stones, the water flows really smoothly. And that's our goal. We want the energy to move really, really smoothly through all our chakras or all our meridian points, because when there's a blockage there, something is off balance. So very first chakra is the root chakra, and it's right at the base of your spine. The color that is associated with this is clearly red. Now, this chakra is very, very supportive, or it talks about how you feel about your here and now. How grounded are you to your physical circumstance? What is your relationship with your money? All of that is kind of rooted in here. And then the next is your sacral chakra, which is right about here. And this is associated with the color orange. Now, this is your center of creativity. This is your center of sexuality. This is the center that is responsible for procreation. So for those of you who are artists and writers and chefs and so on, or who indulge in stuff that is artistically more challenging or more requiring of your attention, you really want to pay attention to make sure that your sacral chakra is nice and open. Then the next one is your solar plexus, which is right here. Okay, this is associated with the color yellow, and it's like the sun. If you can just visualize a bright sun right out there, that's exactly what this chakra is all about. This is where you hold your power. You know, when you start to feel weak and you feel like, I'm constantly being taken for a ride, and do I have suckers stuck on my forehead? When you have all those feelings come up, you know that you need to strengthen your solar plexus. And then we get to the heart. The most important, in my opinion, this is where you house love. Whether you're giving love or you're receiving love, when you are operating in life and you operate out of this space, I can almost guarantee you all that's coming back to you is positivity and love. This is associated with the color green. Next, going up to blue, and for those of you who listened, everyone that came in with the blue, I was like, thank you, you're supporting me today. This is associated with your throat chakra, and this is your center of expression. This is where you allow people to know how you feel. This is where you allow people to know what your stand on things is, mostly beginning with you. You've got to tell yourself as well. And then we work our way up. Now, these are all your spiritual chakras. This is the chakra that connects the earthly and the spiritual. So we've talked about the throat, and now we go into the third eye. Now, the third eye is right in between your eyebrows, maybe a centimeter above. This is your connection to your intuitive self, your higher self. And this is so profound when you actually allow for it to be in full activation and fully open. It's amazing how you will very rarely, at least this is my experience, have dilemmas. Things are very clear. I know which way to go. I know what to do. All right, so who's ready to do some cooking? We're going to make two things today. We're going to go ahead and make a soup, a lentil soup, and then we're going to make a nice big round of greens, and take a guess of why I chose green. We could all use more love. So let's activate the heart center. So the lentil soup is going to have 3 different lentils. We're going to use the yellow. And what's activating now? Yeah. So let's bring in that power. I'll go ahead and put all of it in. And then we have the orange lentil. Sacral, we want to get creative. And it's almost about half a cup of each of them. I'm going to intuitively pick a little more, a little less. And like I've always said, for those of you who've attended my classes before, you know, don't hold me up to the recipes I give you. I very rarely follow them. And I'm going to use mung beans. They're green. Does anyone know what they might represent? So we'll bring in some of that love. And then I'm going to, oh, they look so pretty. Do you see that? That's quite pretty. Well, I'm going to quickly go and rinse this, and I will be back in a moment. So I'm going to begin with one of my favorite fats, coconut oil. Now, before we do anything, we've got to set the intention, and we've got to pour a big serving of love. Love's got to go in there, in everything you do. In the way you speak to someone, in the way you cook your food, in the way you clean your house. It doesn't matter how insignificant the chore is. Always start with love. When you're yelling at your kid, start with love. We'll begin with onions, and the onions I've used today are the red onions, so they have a lovely purple tinge. The violet. Let's bring in the violet. And I have some garlic in there. Garlic, as we know, is really good because it's got many antiviral properties. Tomatoes. What color are tomatoes? Red. And they will ground us. And I'm going to bring in tons of green with celery and cilantro. Okay, celery, as we know, has properties that are very, very beneficial for people that are dealing with the highs and lows in their energy levels, so to say. I think the medical world refers to that as pressure. I just call it disharmony, and it's phenomenal for that. It really supports that system. And cilantro is great because it actually clears or purifies metal toxicity, so it kind of chelates all of that from your body. If you have a lot of mercury fillings, load up on your cilantro. Okay, and now we'll go ahead and throw in our lentils. And time to spice it up. So there's a bonus for those that came in early. I am going to go ahead and go with their spice level of 7.5, 10 being the spiciest. Not really, I wouldn't know what that stands at. So salt to season, and I'm going to give it a nice big heaped spoon of cumin. I will not cook without my cumin and my... That's right. So whether it's taken internally or topically, I mean, these are 2 things that I can't live without. And that's because they have great anti-inflammatory properties. I have paprika and I have red chili, so I'm going to go a little bit of both. Now this is the hardest part. You pick the jug, you try not to spill the water, and you pour it in. Ta-da! Pop! Good to go. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make greens, and these in your recipe are called goddess greens. Gentlemen, I promise you, you will enjoy this just as much as the women. Don't let the name deceive you. What are greens good for? Yes, it's good for big, huge bowel movements. Okay, what else is it good for? Actually, one word can describe it all. Begins with an E. Ends with a G. You didn't know you were here to play games now, did you? Everything. It's good for everything. It helps with the blood, it helps with bringing in the minerals, it's got tons of vitamins and calciums and all kinds of good stuff that we, in our given day and age, really fall short because of our eating habits, because of our lifestyle, because of our exposure to chemicals. And we're going to start off with a little bit of coconut oil. So next, now, what I have done for this one is I've taken a little bit of the yellow onion and a little bit of the red. And this way we could play with more colors than just going with one. And we'll get... Does everybody like onions? Good, because if you don't, today you'll start to like them. To it, I've added green chilies. I think these are called serranos from there, but these are now beginning to get translucent. Again, we go in and cumin. Ching, 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 ching. The price is right. I'm going to give it 2 heaped spoons because we want all that inflammation to go away, and we're going to throw in some turmeric. Salt might not be a bad idea. To this, I'm going to do the very difficult job of pouring the greens. I have organic spinach and chopped collard greens. You can take whatever greens you have available. I'm going to pour some water because it's beginning to stick a little. You don't want too much of that. Okay, so beautiful one, you cook away, and we'll be back in a few to check on you. Yes, I'm that woman that talks to my food. Okay, this looks fantastic. And to make it even prettier, we'll give it a little drizzle of the white. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll do it in reverse order. I know normally you have soup first and then this, but I'm going to let the soup get nice and mushy because I want to make sure all the lentils are thoroughly cooked. We'll squeeze some of that in there. And then I will give it a little taste for the salt. And we'll be ready to rock and roll.